Chair, over to you.
Okay. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to East Devon District Council's Arts and Culture Forum. We're meeting on the 26th of November 2025, and I'm your chair, Councillor Ollie Davey. The meeting is being recorded, so please bear this in mind throughout the meeting. And may I remind colleagues to be careful with their language, not usually an issue in this one, and that the code of conduct applies throughout our meeting. We reserve the right to remove and disconnect any participant disrupting the meeting by whatever means. Please turn telephone devices off or to silent. And as this Arts and Culture Forum meeting is dependent on internet connection and a power supply, in the event of a break in the internet connection or power cut, please bear with us as we try to reconnect. After 15 minutes, if we're not able to reconnect, we'll consider the meeting adjourned and reconvene at a later date. Please check the committee page on our website for details. Please make sure microphones are muted when you're not speaking to avoid any background noise levels. Keep points short and don't repeat points that have already been made, and don't interrupt. If you wish to comment, please raise your electronic hand and wait to be called. All councillors have been given the agenda for today's meeting, and we'll now start the roll call by doing start the meeting, by doing a roll call of committee members here present. So unmute your microphone when you hear your name, and please confirm by saying present. When you've confirmed you're present, please mute your microphone again. Over to you, Alethea.
Okay, so I'll start with yourself, Councillor Davey.
I am finally present. Thank you very much.
Councillor Barlow.
Present, no declarations as far as I'm aware. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Buchan. Councillor Dorbar. Councillor Faithful.
Present.
Councillor Fernley.
Present, no declarations.
Thank you. Councillor Gazzard. Steve was here, so. Okay, Councillor Gazzard, can you just confirm that you're present?
You're on mute, Steve.
Oh, right. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Oh, sorry. Present, no declarations.
Thank you. Councillor Matt Hall.
I think he's sending his apologies. I don't think he's very well.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Hookway.
Present. I better declare that I am a Devon County Councillor, as well as a member of Exmouth Town Council, just in case that is necessary. Thank you.
Councillor Jackson.
Present, no declarations at this stage.
Councillor Johns.
Present, no declarations that I'm aware of, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Price. Councillor Sneller. And Councillor Wakefield. So Chair can confirm that we are quorate. Okay,
thank you very much. Public speaking, I don't think we had any, Alethea.
No,
Nobody else. Okay, minutes of the previous meeting. Does anybody have any comments on the previous set of minutes from April? No. Okay, that's an indication then that you're all happy and the minutes are accepted. Apologies, Alethea.
We've just had Matt Hall.
Right. Okay. Declarations of interest. I think most of you have done it. I didn't actually, but I have none. Arts Council England presentation is the next thing on my list. So welcome to Simon Jutton, who's come along to talk about the Arts Council and the important work they do and support.
Lovely, thank you very much. I shall now attempt to share my screen, so bear with me. Sorry, I'm just, there we are. So can you just see the front page now and nothing else?
We can, thank you.
That looks okay, does it? Great, lovely. Thanks very much for inviting me along today. It's really great to meet you all and to see Councillor Hookway again. Yes, I'm from Arts Council England. My name's Simon Jutton. I'm a Senior Relationship Manager. About us and who we are. So we are the National Development Agency, as it says, for Creativity and Culture. We are a national, as in England, organisation. I work out of the Bristol office and I'm one of the people that covers the Southwest region. Our Southwest, and this is useful later when you look at some figures, is quite big. It goes from Hampshire up to Gloucestershire and then down to Cornwall and the Isles of Scilly. As you can see there, we receive £843 million a year, we did in 24-25, and that money comes from two sources. So one is from the Department from the Treasury through the Department for Culture, Media and Sport. So we're an arm's length body, non-departmental body of the government. We're not part of the government, but we're funded by them. But we're also a distributor of lottery funds. And in both those cases, apart from our own core costs, the money that we have available to fund the arts has to be applied for. So there's always an application process. How do we make decisions about what to fund? Funnily enough, that's based on our strategy. We have a 10-year strategy called Let's Create. Let's Create runs from 2020 to 2030. Our basic vision is based around the belief that everybody should have the opportunity, wherever they live, whoever they are, should have the opportunity to either express their own creativity, to take part in art or to be an artist in any way, but also to access culture, to be able to go to the theatre, visit a gallery, go to a festival, etc. It's built around these three outcomes. Creative people. So creative people is this belief that actually we want to try and give everybody that opportunity, whoever they are. But in order to do that, we need to create the second outcome of cultural communities. So if you live in East Devon, you need to be able to access culture where you are. Some of that might be on the internet, but you also need to access it where you are. So we very much work with local authorities and other partners in looking at how people can access culture in their area. And we believe that if we do that, we will create a creative and cultural country, which is the third outcome. We've got 4 investment principles which help us to make decisions. I would pull out of the 4 that you can see there on the bottom bullet point. Ambition and quality. Quality is really important to us, and quite often it's a distinction people don't always get. We don't fund everything that's put in front of us, partly because we can't afford to do that, but also because we're interested in the quality of work. And also in terms of inclusion and relevance, the other side of that is the work relevant? Are we simply creating or helping people to create art that no one ever sees, or is it actually relevant to people's lives? Dynamism refers to when we fund organisations and artists, we want them to be well run, well managed, have good governance, and be able to attract income from elsewhere. And I think environmental responsibility probably speaks for itself. So in addition to, or in fact, that we can divide our work up rather into 3 different areas: advocacy, investment and development. And not in the same order for some reason on this presentation. This gives you some idea of what we spend. So these figures are for the Southwest, as I described to you previously, for the year 24-25. The national portfolio funding, that 36.6 million, is basically the core funding we provide to the basic cultural infrastructure. And that lasts between 3 and 5 years. Initially, it was 3 years. For various reasons, it's been extended. And that helps to pay for the core costs of organisations, for example, RAM and the Northcott in Exeter, but also organisations like Doorstep Arts in Torbay, some of you may know. We don't core fund an organisation currently in East Devon. Then the second area, which is the one where we have most contact really with people, is our national lottery project grants. So that pot of money is available throughout the year. It's an open fund. You can apply for it between £1,000 and £100,000. I mean, this is a very simplified version, and apply at any time. And then we also fund music education, so including the music education hub that covers Devon and Plymouth, and strategic funds. And obviously these are, unlike project grants, they're not open all the time. They're at a specific time for a specific purpose. So it might be a capital fund. Sometimes that's specifically for either libraries or museums, or it could be more general. Things like developing a creative practice is to support individual artists. And then we also do development work. And again, this is really quite a lot of that is to do with how we work with local authorities and other partners on that idea of creating cultural communities. So trying to make things happen, supporting our colleagues and stakeholders. And to that, we bring a certain amount of expertise in terms of our art form knowledge, but also our knowledge around things like audience development, philanthropy, international work, etc. And then finally, we also do advocacy. And this is just, again, there's not a lot of time to go into this, but we obviously believe in the intrinsic value of culture, that it's important. It's a key part of civilization, I would suggest. But also it has an economic benefit. Really simple way to express that, or one way to express it, is that the creative industries, which is one of the most vibrant economic sectors, includes things like fashion and music, festivals, etc. It tends to cluster where there is a cultural infrastructure. The creative industries grew by 35% between 2010 and 2023, as opposed to a general growth rate of 22%. Every pound spent on cultural activity results in a further £2 being spent on things like people eating out, buying drinks, staying overnight, parking, etc. And around 10 million tourists a year visit the country primarily for culture. You know a lot about that, obviously, in East Devon in terms of the visitor economy. Health, we believe, is important. Recent research we've done into social prescribing has shown that if you take a structured approach to social prescribing using culture, it can leads to a 21% reduction in GP visits. And education, again, and increasingly is being recognised, coming back into the curriculum far more, is vital for developing skills around communications, creativity, innovation, and adaptability. And I think that is it from there. So shall I stop sharing now, and then I guess you see if there's any questions. I've now lost my stop sharing button, so bear with me. There we are. Great.
Okay. In the meantime, I see several hands up. I think I've got Councillor Paula Fernley first.
Thank you very much for your presentation. It's delightful to see what's happening, or what is accessible for artists, creatives, whatever you want to call them, to use. And I do count myself in that, as I am a photographer. Do I need to declare that as an interest? You support such a variety of things, but I'm wondering about your process of application. How does that work? Is it straightforward? Is it accessible? You know, how do people do it?
Okay, that's I'll try and keep this simple. We did have a system which some of you may know, I don't know if you know yourself, called Grantium, which was, so we had one system that you could apply for, and you use that system to apply. It's a computer system, and then also your decision would be on that, and your payments, etc. Unfortunately, that has recently seized up. So we now have a workaround. We still use it internally, but people now have to go through a slightly different process. That information's on our website. I suppose the simple answer is that if you go to our website, or you just sort of Google how to apply for funding from the Arts Council, it will talk you through. There is an application form basically that you fill out. If you're applying for under £30,000, it's relatively straightforward. What are you going to do? Why is it a good idea? Who's going to benefit, etc. If it's over £30,000, we ask you to relate it more to those outcomes I talked about and our investment principles. But that's basically the process. We're currently funding between probably around 30% of the applications that come in, and that's just based on available budget.
Oh, that's
Does that answer
interesting.
your question? Yeah.
Yes, thank you. And how long does it take for that process to go through for the under 30,000 and the over 30,000? Because presumably they will be different.
Yes, and again, it's slightly longer, I'm afraid, at the moment because of the problems we've got with our computer system. So for under 30,000, it's currently around 10 weeks. And for over 30,000, it's around 14 weeks. It used to be 6 and 12. And we could say that quite definitely, but this workaround is slowing things down a bit.
Thank you.
Thanks for that, Paula. Alethea, I probably should declare that I'm a member of Exmouth Town Council, actually, because we do get some Arts Council grant funding. Paula, you might want to talk to Jess at Exmouth Town Council about applying for funding, because I think she's been quite successful. Councillor Ian Barlow.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for your report. First of all, I need to declare an interest. I am a director of Sidmouth School of Art, and I know we have actually had funds from Art England. Are you worried about funding? Everyone else seems to be worried about certainly LGR and things like that down here. We're concerned about what we can carry on funding in the future. Are you worried about the budget coming today? I think everyone's worried in one way or the other. And also, do you support film as part of your thing? Is it a big part? And what do you do for that? Thank you.
Okay. So to answer the first question, yes, we are worried about funding. That said, not particularly around the budget, because the DCMS received their settlement in the spring. What is slightly more concerned is we haven't received our settlement from the DCMS yet for next year. It seems very unlikely that we won't get it, but we're also currently being reviewed as one of the non-departmental bodies. And so until the outcome of Margaret Hodge has done it, so it's called the Hodge Review. Until we know about that, we then will know what our settlement is. I think at the moment, the indications are that funding certainly isn't going to increase, but we hope that it'll be staying roughly at the same sort of level. We are very concerned about the lack of funding for local authorities. Local authorities are such important partners and are still the major funders of culture in this country. And many of them, and yourselves included, have really stuck with culture and are continuing to do that. But it's not happening everywhere, and quite often that's simply because people don't have the money to do it. So we are very concerned about that. We're also concerned, I suppose, about devolution, LGR, primarily in Devon, actually, is wanting to know what's going to happen so we know who to work with going forward. In terms of film, it's slightly complicated, but the broad answer would be no, we don't fund film as in narrative film. We do fund what we call artist film. So it's where what I would call a visual artist is primarily using film, a bit like you might use paint, to create a visual image, an impression. We can fund, for example, creative writing that might lead to film if that creative writing has an artistic merit in itself. Again, there is a whole section, there's an advice sheet on our website around film, but no, I'm afraid we don't generally fund film.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that, Ian. Councillor Peter Faithful.
Thank you. On the end of your slides, there was mention of education. So what sort of funding do you do education wise?
So we, apart from the Music Hub funding, which is actually money we get specifically from the Department for Education, I'm just trying to remember this. No, we don't have a specific education fund at the moment, but schools and people working in schools are eligible to apply for project grants. What we don't fund is anything which is actually to do with teaching the curriculum, because obviously that would be covered by DFE funding. So the money that we're distributing is DCMS and lottery, but we can fund arts activity, for example, cultural activity that enriches the curriculum and or involves the community, working with visual artists. We do have a network of advisors as well, who can support both sides, as it were, can support schools and teachers, but also support artists that want to work with schools and teachers, try and give them advice. And we run ArtsMark, which is a sort of badge that schools can develop and a toolkit to allow them to develop their practice around arts education. An Arts Award as well, which is a bit like the Duke of Edinburgh, but from a cultural point of view. Yeah, so, but otherwise, yes, all of our funding is available for cultural education activity.
But what I was thinking more about was adult education, like college and that side of things, rather than
yeah,
school.
but that can also be covered. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
And I noticed, Simon, you well, I think I knew this. The funding for music hubs comes through you, doesn't it? I used to work for the Devon Music Hub. Well, it was mainly the Devon Music Service when I was working with it, but it was becoming a hub just towards the end of the time I was working with them, and that did fund a lot of work in schools. And yeah, I don't think we really did anything with adults. Okay, do we have any further questions? Oh yes, Vicky. Oh no, actually there's somebody first. Chloe Woodman, over to you.
Hi,
Chloe.
Ollie. Thanks, Ollie, and thanks, Simon. To introduce myself, apologies, I was a bit late and I'm new to East Devon, so I'll make a quick introduction. I'm Chloe Woodman. I'm the new Assistant Director for Communications, Culture and Marketing at East Devon. And this is not necessarily a bit of a question, but more just a pondering. You mentioned LGR and devolution, and I'm interested in whether or not the Arts Council has supported any other authorities that have gone through the LGR process, and kind of telling that story of culture in the wider context of public health and outcomes for communities, economic, health benefits, education benefits, and if the Arts Council has supported local authorities to kind of bring that story to life as the new unitary comes together?
Yeah, the short answer to that is yes. In our region, the one that's probably most relevant is Hampshire and Solent, because obviously Hampshire is also a two-tier authority, and they've been fast-tracked,
Right.
and so they're definitely doing it. They are still waiting to find out what the LGR element looks like, so they know what the devolution, the mayoral combined authority looks like, not the other bit. So we have supported them, and the way we're working with them, primarily it's about establishing in the first instance who are the key politicians and officers that are going forward, and do they believe in the value of culture to all the agendas that I talked about before, things like economy, health, education, etc. And to work with them, then say, okay, so for example, I have already looked at the local growth plan that was put forward by Devon and Torbay Combined Authority.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's draft, and that's not necessarily the authority that's going forward, but I can immediately look at that and think, okay, so I can see how culture can really help to deliver on that. So we would want to work with those politicians and officers To make that case, what we probably would be doing is then looking at maybe putting in a small amount of funding, for which would be looking for match, of course, to audit actually what is out there at the moment and what is valuable and what is actually going to allow you to achieve your plans going forward. And to try and then sort of bed in a commitment to culture based on an understanding of what that will do. So that sort of simple thing around if the creative industries are seen as a growth sector for, if we have a sort of Devon, Plymouth, Torbay area, then the importance that cultural infrastructure will have to that. So what do we need to invest in? So we would normally invest then in some research, I'm not sort of saying necessarily consultation, but certainly auditing, research, development of ideas around therefore what needs to be supported. And then the other side of that is obviously we then want to bring in the cultural sector to be able to respond to that. So we convene, probably provide a bit of funding, but critically, I mean, I've already spoken to your leader about this and to Councillor Hookway. I think we're all waiting really to see what comes through, hopefully in the spring, when we know something a bit more definitely about the shape of things going forward. Does that answer your question, Chloe?
Absolutely, that's really helpful. Thanks, Simon.
Thanks, Chloe, and yes, welcome to East Devon District Council. We've met briefly, but yeah, thank you for introducing yourself there. Vicky, Councillor Vicky Johns.
Thank you, Ollie. I just realised I probably should declare an interest because I work for South West Academy of Fine and Applied Arts. I don't believe we've ever had any money from the Arts Council, certainly not while I've been a member of the, I do the administration. So I just suddenly thought, oh, hang on, maybe I should declare an interest. Thank you. It's not a DPI though.
Okay, thanks, Vicky. Councillor Sarah Jackson.
Yes, similar. Mine's slightly more complicated, only in so much as it relates to my place of employment, and I have a sensitive interest under the Localism Act, Section 32, I think. But the reason I mention it is because my employer also, as one of their functions, runs an arts and culture venue. Again, we haven't had any arts and culture funding through the Arts Council or any others, I think, on this list today, but I thought it was worth mentioning all the same.
Okay, thanks, Sarah. Yeah, I did have one question, Simon. This is probably a big one, but I just wondered how much you're influenced by government policy, and does it change, or is it fairly consistent? I just wondered, you know, how much the attitude of government makes a difference to you.
I mean, we are a non-departmental body, and we cling to the arm's length principle. So we don't make decisions based on politics, particularly party politics. However, because we are working with government at different levels, and we want to help to create cultural communities, obviously it helps if we can respond to the priorities that are being set, so the non-cultural priorities that are being set, which is what I was talking about, say, for example, growth. So we're influenced in that way, but that's not in a party political way. I think I have to try quite carefully, because I think the Margaret Hodge review will have quite a bit to say about that. And we'll probably have a judgment on how successfully that they feel that we've done that. And to a certain extent government's done it. But I mean, you know, a really simple example is the current government has recently announced continuing with the capital of culture, city of culture, and also introduced a new town of culture. And it's interesting, that's quite a good example, because with that, obviously we think great. That's really good. We are specifically told we cannot advise and support people that want to put in for those. However, once they're shortlisted, there's a shortlisting process. We can then provide some advice, certainly, during the process. So it's quite a fine line to tread. But yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Simon.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, I do see another question. Councillor Steve Gazzard.
Well, you're muted at the moment, Councillor Gazzard.
How are you doing, Steve? Have you found it? He was there.
He seems to have dropped off the call.
I was just looking through, Sarah, because I can't see everybody at once. So
I can see Councillor Gazzard. It's just I can't hear him.
Yeah, I think Councillor Gazzard's still here.
He-
I don't know whether he's trying to locate the mute.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, there he
It's
is.
in the bottom middle of the screen. It should be Steve.
Well, Steve, can you pop what you wanted to ask in the chat? Would that be helpful? And then we could read it out for you. He's nodding.
Yes.
So just for the benefit of the recording, we'll just need to read that out. But you've got Councillor Hookway waiting to speak now, Chair.
All right. Okay. Councillor Hookway.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, just wanted to say hello to Simon. Good to see you again. Thank you very much indeed for speaking to us, and also thank you for your continuing support, which is much appreciated. Thank you, Chair. That's all I wanted to say, really. Just the political side of things. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's great. Thank you, Nick. Yeah. So I think it only remains for me to say thank you very much for coming along, Simon. Have we got Steve's question yet?
No, I can't see it in the chat at the
You
moment.
may be having trouble because Steve has sight problems. I'm sure he won't mind my.
I'm happy to come back to it
mentioning
later if it's helpful. So I can stay around till about 11:30. So.
Oh, that's brilliant, Simon. Thank you very much. That would be great. Okay, in that case, we can move on to Maya George, who's going to tell us about Villages in Action and what they've been up to since we last met. And there is the presentation. Morning, Maya.
Great. Good morning. Hi, everyone. Okay, so since I last presented to you in April, we have been successful with securing our fourth. Oh, can you hear me? Sorry. Right, okay, sorry, I'll carry on. With our fourth consecutive Arts Council England National Lottery Project Grant to continue to develop our agriculture network and activities across rural Devon. Agriculture 4 started on October the 1st, and it's a multifaceted project focusing really on four main areas. So those are live performances, active participation, workshops and sessions, organisational development, and local artist and creative practitioner support. East Devon is a key area for us, and with the recruitment of Wendy van der Plank, who many of you will know, as our East Devon connector, this was made possible by the uplift received from East Devon District Council. We're focusing on connectivity, working collectively and collaboratively, sharing best practice and exploring the potential for joint funding bids over the next 6 months. But before I go on to talk about that, the next 3 slides focus on what we've been up to over the last 6 months. As part of our Present performance programme, we have supported local artists at different stages of their career development and at different stages of their performance development. So in the images, you can see George Williams developing a new show. We platformed him as part of our From Devon with Love Scratch programme earlier in the year, and we invited George to come back and to continue developing his show with us. So this was performed at the Skittle Alley earlier this month, I believe it was, in Stockland. And in the top right, for example, you can see two of our young musicians who performed as part of our Daytime Seniors programme, performing for adults with dementia and their carers. So we support artists to think about adaptations for rural spaces and audiences to ensure that the work is made at the required scale. For example, in the bottom right-hand corner, this was a performance, a mini tour. They went to Offwell School and Farway Primary, a performance by local artists Sarah Vigers and Louis Bingham, which was a puppetry and music show. So the show had been created for other settings, and we said, how about doing it in small rural primary schools? So again, supporting artists to think about new locations or new settings that perhaps they haven't thought of before. And alongside this, we presented high quality performances in unexpected places. Another of our strands is the Cultivate strand, which is our participation programme. We're expanding our Daytime Seniors provision to ensure that we're reaching those who can't access our largely evening performance programme. Wendy has been working with artists Vic Llewellyn and Emma Williams to deliver a series of creative workshops for adults with dementia and their carers, both in Honiton and Sidmouth. The project encompasses storytelling, poetry, song, and reminiscence. Feedback from our audiences, our promoters and volunteers tells us that people appreciate what we do, that rural communities recognise the uniqueness of Villages in Action and enjoy the intimacy and the connection that our activity cultivates. Over to Wendy for our next slide.
Hello everyone, and I'm so sorry that I can't get my camera to work. Just to say, yes, it's been delightful to be a network connector in East Devon, and in October we held a network gathering of 13 potential community curators and partners along with local creatives. They represented a diverse mix of spaces and perspectives. There was a charity operating in the Black Downs, 6 villages, 2 towns and 3 small hospitality businesses and an outdoor green in Honiton. So yeah, nice range. This was an opportunity to discover what people want for their communities and to find what motivates the people that do in those communities. Because a consistent thread was community well-being and inclusion, as well as affordability and sustainable relationships. We described how Villages in Action works, giving insight into programming, touring, pricing, and risk sharing, and also very importantly, fair pay for the artists, and about our bespoke model, which adapts for differing communities and venues. New links were made between artists and organisers with 5 subsequent meetups so far, and excitement re future plans. And several people described how valuable it was to meet other rural organisers, and they felt connected and energised. Following this gathering, we are now developing 3 new relationships, and we'll be supporting 3 live events, one at Yarkham Village Hall, at the Tiffin Box in Axminster, which is a gorgeous little intimate venue, and the Old Picture House in Seaton. And these will all be before the end of March. There are plans afoot with other community representatives and groups from this gathering beyond March, but that's very much subject to funding. To Mayor.
Thank you. So as you'll know from earlier presentations, the purpose of developing Wendy's role is to help galvanise the East Devon network, to act as a local support for new promoters and members of the network, and also to represent villages in action at co-creation meetings with partners, wider networking events, and meeting representatives from other organisations so that we can better collaborate, plan and co-design shared projects. There are obvious links that we are developing with the visitor economy and working in partnership with local businesses, not just volunteers. This is important, we feel, to develop a healthy and a sustainable ecosystem. Finally, what's coming up? So we're delighted to be partnering with Graham and Howard at the Manor Pavilion for this Thursday's performance of No One Is Listening by Vic Llewellyn. I'm going to play the trailer for you now, so hopefully this will work.
What you are about to experience is not for the faint-hearted. And so, using the arts of acting, puppetry, lighting, and atmosphere, I will tell a tale that will strike terror into your hearts. What do you feel when a strange presence is near? Look around your house, but there's nobody here. Icy wind blows, but the doors are closed. What is that you're feeling? Fear! Fear! Fear!
So if you haven't got your tickets yet, please head over to the Manor Pavilion website. We've got a few tickets left for Thursday. It starts at 7:30 and I hope to see some of you there. So again, just to recap a little bit of what we're thinking moving forward, we've been developing skills to empower and support the doers, and we believe that that is key to ensuring future relevance of our programme. The balance of volunteers and paid local organisers is something that we're going to be exploring the next 6 to 12 months. We're going to be developing our Daytime Seniors programme and establish regular daytime performances for older audiences, including those with dementia and their carers. We have put in a recent funding request to expand that part of our work, and we're waiting to hear about the results of that. And finally, we are working on a significant funding bid to Heritage Lottery Fund. We're taking a different approach with much longer term ambitions. So we're looking to partner with organisations in the Blacks to work with us on an 18-month heritage focus project, which will be culture led, and we hope will contribute to protecting and enhancing the natural environment using culture to connect and inspire. The final pitch I will give you is on the slide. So we've got Bournemouth Symphony Orchestra joining us in the Minster in Axminster on Thursday the 4th of December. Performance begins at 7:30. Again, tickets are available, so I hope to see some of you there. Thanks very much.
That's great. Thank you. Yeah, look forward to that. Ghost story. Unfortunately, I can't make tomorrow night, but I hope some of you can. Looks really good one-man show there. So thank you, Myra and Wendy. Do we have any questions? No.
Yes, Chair, sorry.
Councillor Barlow, you never
Thank
let
you.
me down.
I'll try.
Go
hard.
ahead, Ian.
I just wondered, obviously you're selling the tickets. What percentage of your income that you spend comes from your ticket sales? How important are the ticket sales to you?
Yeah, it's about 20% of our income comes from ticket sales, and we share that. Obviously, we have different percentages, different relationships with each venue that we work with. So we work on a bespoke, agreement with each place that we work with.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ian. And yeah, you mentioned venue relationships there, Maya. I noticed you do quite a lot with Stockland. Is that because you've got a kind of strong relationship there? And I know how important from past experiences those relationships can be. Once you get somebody who's willing to work with you, it just makes life so much easier, doesn't it? And
It does.
and you can build up that strong relationship and continue sort of supporting events. I've got a question from Councillor Sarah Jackson, unless it's another declaration of interest, Sarah.
I've only got the one. It just applies to everything. It's really a question around your cultural network gatherings, also the Village in Action in general. How do you reach people who may have an interest in what you're doing there? And how can we direct people who perhaps are unaware of what's going on, but may be great contributors to what you're doing there?
Yeah, so a lot of how we get in touch with people is word of mouth, is connections that we have, and asking people to sort of speak to their own networks. We've recently, the communications team at East Devon District Council have started to advertise particularly our performances, and often we find that's a really kind of good gateway, that somebody that's come along to a performance or a participatory workshop and they've really enjoyed it, they then approach us and sort of say, oh brilliant, I'd love you to come and, you know, do something at our village hall or our local pub or whatever it might be. But certainly post it. Wendy, I don't know if there's anything you want to say on that kind of particular point.
Yeah, absolutely, Sarah. Yeah. For example, last weekend there was a show, and afterwards 3 people came up to me, one from Ottery St Mary and one from Luppet, and they asked, sorry, there were 3 altogether there, but they asked about the scheme, and I said, oh, please go to, you know, our website as a first signpost really to look at what we do, and I spoke to them about the scheme and how it can be bespoke for each village. We do the risk sharing, you know, yeah. So it is mainly word of mouth, but the network meetings and certainly the cultural forum has really helped as well, because I go along as a representative and I meet lots of people at our culture forums, with Sarah's group. So yeah, that's how we network that way. And I've been going out and doing an awful lot of ferreting in different communities as well over the last 6 months. So yeah, meeting lots of lovely people and reps for communities.
Chair, could I just respond to that? That's really interesting information. So I mean, I can think of probably half a dozen small venues that often operate evenings and daytime events with performers of all sorts of different types, but also have space that's available during the daytime so they don't really make any kind of use of, that might very well be interested in acting as a host for one of your networking meetings, or might be one of those venues that want to be a support where you've got performers. Is it best to put them in touch with yourself, Mayor, or Wendy, just directly?
Yeah, either one of us, that would be fantastic. Yes, please. I'm just rewriting our email addresses in the chat, so you've got them there. Quite simple. But yeah, please just ask them to get in touch with us directly. That would be fantastic. Or send on the contact details to us, and we can reach out as well. They sound great. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Sarah. Yeah, Maya, yeah, I mean, we talked about the relationships with venues, but how do you find your artists? Do they approach you, or is that more networking, more word of mouth? How does that work?
So it's a real mixture. We do have an application process, but we don't actually operate. Historically, we were a rural touring scheme, and historically a menu used to be put together, but we've actually found that that isn't the best way of working for us. So artists can apply, they can submit a form to let us know about what kind of activity they might like to offer, whether that's performances or to facilitate creative sessions, whatever that might be. But actually, we're well connected as a team. So I'm also a freelance producer, as are two other members of the team. So we are sort of well connected to artist networks in both in the Southwest and across the UK. We go to watch a lot of work. So we'll kind of head out all over the county and the wider Southwest to watch people performing and what they do. So lots of different ways that we kind of find out. And I suppose for us the question is, yes, we do program people who just want to perform, but for us it's about, does it align with kind of what we're looking for, what our audiences are looking for. That's a really important factor for us. So we are also part of the National Rural Touring Forum, which is the national network that supports rural touring across the United Kingdom. And again, that's a great source of connection, I suppose. There are schemes in Cornwall, in Somerset, all around the UK, but we're particularly close and connected with those organisations. So again, recommendations. We meet at least once or twice a year to give each other kind of the heads up about things that we might have seen that we know work really well. And also we're part of a programme called Create Tour Connect, which is a national touring programme, and that's to support new work, so new writing and bigger shows. So what's happening, we found with rural touring, is that costs are kind of increasing. There's more and more competition for project grant funding and so on, and from a range of other funders as well. Artists are finding it more and more difficult to fund their work. So by clubbing together as a network, we've been able to ensure that we can get bigger shows touring. So 4 or 5 handers, which is quite unusual at the moment for rural touring. So yeah, we have lots of different ways. We're connected to lots of different projects and organisations, and there is a direct route for artists to get in touch with us as well.
Okay, that's really helpful. Thank you. Councillor Paula Fernley.
Thanks, Ollie. Thank you, Mayor, for the presentation. My question information is a bit along the lines of Sarah, actually. Over at the Science Park near Junction 29, there's a potential venue host, not quite sure what you would want to call it, but they're trying to get more involved in the community and are offering the Dome and other bits of the Science Park. They're free quite a lot of the time, particularly summer holidays, school holidays, even around Christmas. So it's something they've been discussing with me as ward member, that they want to get it out there, that they are available and want to talk to people. So I can connect you with that. Tide Barn's a very new area. The people around here, we haven't got a lot going on. So it's always nice to try to encourage new things to the area.
Fantastic. That sounds great, Paula. Thank you. Please do put us in touch. Yeah.
Do.
Yeah, good thought, Paula. Okay, any further questions? No, I can't see any. So thank you very much to Maya and Wendy for that presentation. And we can move on to agenda item 7, which is Museum Development Southwest. Joe Cairns is here, the Devon Museum Development Officer. So over to you, Joe.
Hi everyone, I'll just see if I can share my screen. I'll just see if I can put it into slideshow for you. There, can everyone see the first slide?
We can't. Oh, yep. There we go.
It just come through. Super. Okay, so yeah, hi everyone. For those that don't know me, I'm Jo Cairns. I'm the Museum Development Officer covering Devon's museums, and I work for Museum Development Southwest. So each year, Museum Development Southwest invests £360,000 in a network of 9 local museum development offices, of which I'm one. 47% of this investment is secured from 18 local authorities across the Southwest. The rest of our investment does come from Arts Council England, so it's great that Simon's here today. Local place-based museum development offices are essential for the delivery of effective sector development, and we provide responsive one-to-one development support, for example, to individual museums within East Devon. We facilitate access to specialist technical support from our conservation, volunteering and accreditation experts. We understand the role museums play within their local communities. We offer a trusted relationship, providing continuity, and we connect, network and collaborate. This might be through regional museums groups, such as the Devon Museums Group, or the more local East Devon Museums Group as well. And it might be also through supporting other networks, for example, the Arts and Culture East Devon Network, of which I'm a heritage champion. And we're also vital and informed advocates for our museums when they need us. Looking at investment in East Devon in 24-25, we invested £13,870, which was a 247% return on East Devon District Council's investment. So that equates to £9,900 invested in local museum development officer support, £2,850 worth of specialist and technical services in conservation, collections, care, volunteer development, including ongoing support to Exmouth Museum in the Volunteering Fit for the Future programme. It also includes £400 of access to technical accreditation advice by 3 museum organisations in East Devon. So that was Ottery St Mary Museum, Exmouth Museum and Axe Valley Heritage. We also provided £720 worth of training, with 12 delegates from 5 different museums accessing that training. And additionally, for 25-26, we're investing £2,000 in Exmouth Museum and Axe Valley Heritage Museum, who are participating in our Reducing the Risks Hazards in Collections programme, which is funded by National Lottery Heritage Fund. And I will speak about that a little bit more later. Just moving on. Oh, slide's not moving on for you. Oh, there we go. Sorry, next slide. Moving on to reach and depth of engagement by museums in East Devon, we have 100% of priority museums access development support, and our target was 60%. There are 4 priority museums in East Devon. So just to clarify, by priority, I mean accredited museums through the Arts Council accreditation scheme. These are Allhallows Museum in Honiton, Axminster Heritage Centre, Fairlynch Museum and Arts Centre in Budleigh Salterton, and Sidmouth Museum. 50% of those priority museums access 3 or more different development support opportunities through us, and our target was 30%. And 80% of museums and heritage organisations in the area, that's 8 of the 10 organisations that we work with, engaged in Museum Development Southwest development support in general. And this slide just gives you info on the different museums in East Devon. The 2 museums that didn't engage out of those 10 are Allerond and Killerton, and that's because they're National Trust properties that don't usually access our support in the same way as the sort of smaller independent museums. They access specialist advice and support from their national and regional curators, conservators and volunteering specialists. They do sometimes engage in our training, and it just depends. Some years they engage and some years they don't, depending on demand within their own organisation. So I wanted to finish with delivery so far in 25-26. So Axe Valley Heritage Museum and Exmouth Museum, as I mentioned earlier, are participating in our National Lottery Heritage funded Reducing the Risks, Hazards in Collections project. They will take part in a day-long training session. So there are training sessions happening across the southwest. The one for Devon is taking place at RAM on Tuesday. So next week they'll be there getting expert advice from conservators on dealing with the hazardous collections that they might hold. As part of that programme, they'll also access materials, specialist equipment, and they'll be able to speak to a specialist conservator who's been trained on dealing with hazardous collections as part of that programme. We also have a grants programme as part of it, so they can access funding if they realise that they have quite a large collection that's hazardous and they may need specific funding to tackle that. So that will be part of the programme. And then Axminster Heritage Centre are participating in our organisational health check programme this year, and that's actually happening on Friday, so I'll be down at Axminster then delivering that session for them, and as a result of it they'll get a bespoke report which will look at areas that they're doing really well and perhaps some areas where they need to develop further, and then they can access grant funding from us to action those developmental needs if they want to. And then Museum Development Southwest Collaborative Capacity Builder grant funding is enabling 3 museums in East Devon alongside other museums across Devon, and that is Axe Valley Heritage Museum, Exmouth Museum and Wimpole Heritage Centre to take part in a Volunteer Leaders Wellbeing Day at Dartington Hall. And that's come about really as an acknowledgement that there are so many volunteer leaders within our museums across Devon that are just working their socks off, really. They're just at their museums day in, day out, and really at risk of burnout. So it's a day to really look after them and acknowledge what their contribution and just support them so that we don't allow them to burn out. So that should be a fantastic day at Dartington Hall. And then finally, we have ongoing support for Exmouth Museum to strengthen their governance by converting to a CIO, which is a charitable incorporated organisation. And we hope that by doing that, they will strengthen their board, and then we'll be supporting them through to applying for museum accreditation, which has been a long-held ambition of theirs. So that's the next step once their CIO has gone through. We're also supporting Ottery St Mary Museum and Axe Valley Heritage to look at accreditation as well. So they're hoping both of those organisations to put their eligibility in for accreditation in the next month or so. So we should have some progress on that soon. And I think that's my last slide. So thank you very much, and I'll look forward to taking questions.
Thank you, Jo. That was great. Yeah, you'll have to say more about hazards in collections. I'm intrigued by that one, and also with the CIO, the conversion to a CIO, having been part of an organisation that set up something similar. I'm not sure if it was that. Our experience was that we really needed some help with accounts at the end of the year. The first year was relatively smooth, and then we got to the end of the year and they started demanding all sorts of paperwork and accounts and so on, and we really had to get some help there. Do you provide that kind of support?
We don't provide that financial support, no, but we provide technical advice. Our technical accreditation advisor is an expert in governance, so he will provide support in looking at that governing document that they're putting through to the Charities Commission, and really checking that it's fit for purpose for a museum, and also if they have ambitions to be accredited, that it meets those accreditation eligibility requirements. So we support in that way. We also support them in looking at the different options for them, so whether they want to do a foundation CIO or a membership CIO, so that there are two aspects. So it's sort of that support around what the options are and how they can go about it. But yeah, we aren't able to give financial advice. We can point them to other organisations that might be able to advise on that. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, thank you for that. Okay, I have a question, I think, from Councillor Peter Faithful.
Thank you. Ottery Heritage Museum, you say they're still not accredited. Are they making any progress to be an accredited museum?
Yes, they're doing fantastically, actually. They have taken the approach that they want to get everything ready in advance. So you can submit your eligibility questionnaire and be working towards for 3 years before you submit your full application. And I would say they're very much ready to submit their eligibility questionnaire and have been for sort of 6 to 12 months. But they're being very, very conscientious, and they're getting all their policies and procedures ready now, so that I think once they submit their eligibility, actually they'll have done a lot of the work, and they won't need those 3 years to make the full application. So I think they'll very soon make that full application. So they're doing fantastically, actually. They're just taking a slow approach in terms of that initial eligibility questionnaire. But yeah, I'm really pleased with their progress. They have a lot of support from Nigel Sadler, who's the curator at Axminster. Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Peter. Councillor Vicky Johns.
Hi, thank you, Ollie. I just want to say thank you for the presentation. It was really interesting. But also, again, I need to declare another interest, because Ottery Town Council, which I'm the mayor of, actually owns the building that the Ottery Museum's currently in. So I don't have a DPI, but obviously we own the building, but that's where it stops. They do all their own bit. So I'm not even sure where that comes, but I'm sure somebody will tell me. Thank you so much.
Okay, Vicky. Well, when in doubt, state. Councillor Steve Gazzard. Hi, Steve.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, apologies. I have real problems with technology. Can I say, first of all, thank you for all the help that you've given to Exmouth Museum. We have a fantastic museum, as you know, down here. You talked about the risks that session that they're doing with you, or RAMS, and you talked about maybe, did you say talk about giving some financial support for if they need to have special, is it like storage cabinets that you're on about that they wouldn't?
It could be, yes. So the Hazards Project really looks at collections that might be dangerous to people and their audiences, but also volunteers working with the collection. So it could be mineral collections that might be radioactive. It can be taxidermy collections that might have chemicals that were used in the taxidermy process that are actually hazardous. Sometimes gas masks, things like that, contain asbestos. So there are lots of different things that can be hazardous in museum collections. So yes, the programme has a grant stream attached. So if they discover that there are needs within the collection to make things safe, they can apply for a grant through that programme. So yeah, it could be if you've got a radioactive mineral, you might need a specialist cabinet to keep it in to ensure that it's safe. So yeah, things like that, really.
Thank you, Steve. Yeah, I'd never considered hazards like that before, but yeah, I can see there could be quite a few. Okay, I'm assuming, Steve, that's a legacy hand, not that you want to ask another question. No, that's great. Okay, thanks very much for that, Joe. And we'll move on. And oh yes, agenda item 8, Screen Devon. We've got a presentation from Claire Horrocks.
Hello. Right, let's
Morning,
see if we
Claire.
can get
How are you?
into this. Good morning. Right, let's see if we can make this. Oh, it's not going to let me do that now, is it? Let's try this way.
Yep.
Can we all see that?
Yes.
Brilliant. Great. Well, thanks for having me today. It's lovely to see you again. I can't believe it's been, what, 6-7 months since I last presented to you in the very early days of Screen Devon. So I'm manager of Screen Devon. And we're kind of, as we're approaching our first year in activity, we thought it would be a good opportunity to share this impact report that we've made recently. For those of you who don't know, so Screen Devon's quite a small team. There's myself, I'm 2.5 days, and we've got Sharon Ryan, who's our film officer, who works 4 days a week. And we cover and represent all of Devon in different ways. In Plymouth, we work slightly differently because we are the official film office for Plymouth at this time. And we work alongside Torbay, Devon's main universities in Plymouth and Exeter. So this is pretty much hot off the press. We haven't actually published this yet. It's only been circulated with our board yesterday. So it's like a sneak peek, a preview, premiere in film terms. So I'm just going to skip through to this page, which hopefully will show you our kind of priorities. I'm just going to highlight these. So these priorities that we have kind of influenced and inspired how we've approached the first year. And they're very much shaped by our trustees' vision, and myself and Sharon have been delivering our activity based on these. But we're very keen for these priorities to remain flexible and evolve with us as we seeing that points have changed and our attention needs to be kind of shifted around depending on what's happening at the time. And our plan for early 2026 is to review these priorities, and we're going to be establishing kind of new areas, and we'll talk about a bit of those ambitions shortly. But if you look at the headline column here in the blue and the green, basically our work's contributed to some record-breaking levels of screen industry activity in Devon, and that's been amazing to see. We're really proud of what we've been able to achieve so far. Facts and figures are still being calculated, but we believe that we're on track to kind of project £9 million of production spend in Devon this year, which is a significant increase on what was targeted, and a whopping 254 filming days we believe have taken place, and that's across everything from features, high-end TV to domestic kind of factual programs, and we're definitely seeing a growth in our online community as well, and we'll talk a little bit about that a bit later on. So our first steps in this first year have been very much about establishing Screen Devon as a recognised organisation, and we've been doing that by reviewing and implementing kind of the core film office services across Devon. And we spent a lot of time trying to streamline processes with establishing points of contact for visiting productions, and we've been developing a new kind of local authority film office network, which is perhaps partly one of our most significant achievements. And we've now got a dedicated working group of individuals who are working across Devon who have film office responsibilities, whether that's within local authority or areas of national significance. And until that, there was kind of no communication between these different local authority offices, so there was no sharing of best practice. But now we're looking at how we can work together. We're comparing fee structures and permit systems, and there's still a lot of work to do here, but we are already seeing the benefits of working together and meeting regularly, which has been a really great part of our work. And the good news is that East Devon has a really fantastic experienced team who've been really helping those film offices that maybe have less experience in this area. And we're working to increase East Devon's ambition, and it's been a big part of building new relationships with landowners and businesses across this part of the region. And that's kind of allowed us to elevate the offer for those scouting and planning to shoot here in East Devon. So examples of this, we've forged relationships with Clinton Estates, Escott, Beer Quarry Caves, who all have kind of exceptional assets and really high ambition to welcome film productions here. So that's been a really great part to see. And through these relationships and our work across local authority film offices, we've been able to engage with some significant studios over the past 12 months, including Amazon, Blacklight Drama and Disney, just an example, but you'll see there's a full list of people we've been talking to already. And we've been able to put a significant number of East Devon locations forward for some really high-end productions, exciting TV opportunities. Most recently, this week we had a Disney scouting for a First World War feature. And the week before we were working with another production who are looking to do a reimagining of Treasure Island. So that's very good and coastal, as you can imagine. What we see often with these productions is they can be working sometimes 12 to 24 months in advance. It's very much those early days, and in some areas where we've been doing scouting, we haven't yet seen the outcome of that And bearing in mind that we are working alongside all the other film offices in the UK, so sometimes it's hard to see where they're going to end up shooting. But as I said, we're still calculating activity across Devon for this most recent quarter, and we calculate all activity. We look at film days, we look at strike days and prep days. So that's the time it's taken to build sets and prepare everything. Sometimes the shoot days are much smaller, and then the strike days is pretty much the pack away and the tidy up. But we're well above target, and it's really, really great to see. We expect about 25 of these filming days were in East Devon. A lot of prep and strike days were in East Devon as well. Things like the Beer Quarry Crows, who had their big feature there, that was a significant production. But what's worth pointing out is when they do have those prep and strike days, you've still got really big crew on the ground who are in the area, staying, spending money in the pub and all the things like that. So productions that we have notably had in East Devon, so Masters of the Universe, which took place at Beer Quarry Cave, and that's coming out in June next year, I believe. Bergerac 2 did some significant production work over East Devon. DIY SOS, that's an exciting one. There was an international documentary called Is It True? About witches, and we were able to connect them with some woodlands with the Clinton Estates. And also some of you may be familiar with Joe in the Water, which was a significant documentary which premiered earlier this month and is now in its film exhibition phase. Let's talk about events a little bit. So some of Green Devon's greatest impact have been through hosting events, and we've been presenting events and been part of these things all over Devon, but also nationally. We've attended events in Bristol, Birmingham and London, and in some instances we've been the only people representing Devon in the screen industry. More locally, we've presented and made connections, and these exhibitions have kind of helped us bloom these relationships and really fully understand our position in the area. We've been thrilled to represent ourselves at East Devon Cultural Forum event, which I think was last month at the Dome. And that was really great because we made some new connections there as well. And we're really looking forward to presenting next week at the East Devon Tourism Network. So that's where we can connect with some suppliers and local businesses who are working within the tourism industry, but how we can relate screen tourism to the work that they're doing. We were able to send an East Devon creative to the Salt Path Gala event, which took place in Newquay. We've been really privileged to grow kind of local government connections at new networks, such as the Regional Comms Network and the Creative UK seminars, where we've been able to direct link with creatives. Oh, and also we hosted the premiere screening of Joe in the Water, which was a real privilege as well. And looking at crew and skills here, this is a really great part of what we want to see grow significantly in our work next year. But we've been really ensuring that Devon is capturing the skilled workforce, to making sure that when productions do come here, we're making sure that the crew who are based here on the ground can benefit from those productions. And we've spent a lot of time tracking and registering local crew, and we've now got about 120 individuals who are registered with Screen Devon. We would like to see that grow. We need to do a bit more outreach there, but it has allowed us to put forward about 50 crew to opportunities here happening in Devon, and that's everything from kind of marshalling all the way up to some more significant high-end things such as cinematographers. We'd like to also understand where there's gaps in crew, so where we see that there aren't crew represented in Devon and what we can do to maybe upskill or better understand why that is. So working closer with educators and entry points into the industry. But you'll see that East Devon boasts about 12% of our directory as a match with Plymouth, and about a third of the people on our crew database are happy and willing and want to work in East Devon as well. So that's really great to see that we've got a significant number there. And the calibre of talent in East Devon is really high. The figures aren't there, but we've got some incredible international producers, scriptwriters, art directors who are all based in East Devon. And we're going to be doing a little bit of work to reach out to them on a more one-to-one level. And we recognise that industry pathways are an essential part of the process to grow the workforce in the creative industries, particularly with Screen. So we were really pleased that Screen Devon could secure a small grant of about £1,000 from Devon County Council, and we're going to be delivering a documentary filmmaker course for 16 to 19-year-olds living in and around Exmouth. So it'll be a free course, and it'll be delivered as kind of 4 hands-on skill-based workshops in partnership with Propeller. and that's going to be available to about 15 young people. They're going to come away with some really great doc experience and some actual content that they can present and show and share, and hopefully that will lead to some more kind of industry connections and demystify careers in this area. So we're really looking forward to that. And we talked about partnerships already, but relationships, as I said, have been really, really important. And those local connections that we've made, we spent time visiting, chatting and reaching out to kind of local and regional organisations such as UNESCO City of Literature, Visit Devon. And we've also recognised the passion and talent that exists in Devon with these areas, and seeing how those experiences and the work being done by these organisations and partners are really transferable for what we're trying to do. And then on a national level, we've become part of Film Officers UK, and that's really significant. That's quite a hard process to become, but it means we sit alongside some really powerful film officers and we can learn from them, share best practice. We have got connections when we go to bigger events. We've also become an active member of the newly formed Screen Alliance Southwest, and that's been developed in response to a lack of industry investment in the region. And this group formed, so there's film officers such as Bath and Bristol and Cornwall, and there's some exhibitors and producers also representing that group. And we really hope that will contribute to the Southwest's ability to kind of amplify its visibility, to be ready for film, for production, and for more investment. And we're seeing that a lot of the attention's going to things like the Midlands and the North, North Screen Alliance North. So it's a really great way for us to sit alongside that. But it's not just the big players that we're really interested in working with. Local talent, obviously the priority. That's kind of where my my history comes from. So we've been working directly with at least 13 small productions, short films needing support through advice, connections and development. There's a fantastic filmmaker, one to watch, name to remember is Toby Rees-Parker, who's making a film. He's an Exmouth-based creative doing some really exciting things, and he's shooting early in the new year. And we've also been working really closely with Pit Piper, as I've mentioned before, with his documentary Joe in the Water. So we were able to help present that and bring that production, that premiere screening together. But we're also giving one-to-one advice about the next level of distribution and working to connect Pip and Phil, the producer, with cinemas and exhibitors and festivals. So we're really excited about where that film's gonna lead. And then just briefly, just a little bit about the coverage that we've had over the past year. I mean, it's great to see that Screen Devon's activity has been really newsworthy. We've been captured in some significant productions. There was a big production that I'm not allowed to talk about, but it's listed there in The Guardian. But things like that has attracted all sorts of attention our way. People are really keen to understand how they can get involved. There's such a great buzz, which is exactly what we want to see happening. When Bergerac were filming, we're seeing lots of different things online of people capturing and questioning what was happening. We've caught up with some of the residents who lived on the main street that was closed off, and they had a great time. So it's really exciting to see that the buzz and the energy behind what we're up to is very much alive. And then just lastly, we are very ambitious. We've had an ambitious year, but we're really keen to develop a little bit further and look ahead. And we're really, like I said, keen to understand Devon's crew and skill gaps. We've mentioned that already. We're going to work more closely with universities and the industry to better support graduates, those either returning to Devon or those who have graduated and studied here, so we can maybe retain them and better advise them about those entry points and where there's opportunities to get involved. And we're of course going to continue to expand Devon's infrastructure. We're going to work with suppliers a little more and advisory groups, so to make sure that we're very much film ready, and we're questioning and talking to productions that have been here this year to better understand how we can prepare ourselves and be super ready and film friendly and welcoming. And finally, sustainability is something that we're going to be putting a lot of attention to and spending time building this into our activity. Sharon at this moment is a really exciting sustainability course with Screen Cornwall. And we're looking to other leaders. Luckily, the Southwest has got some really great people. The Bottle Yard in Bristol, which is one of the biggest UK studios, have got some really great track record of their sustainability. So we're talking to them, and they're very up for sharing, just to see how we can build it into what we do, not bolt it on. But that was a whistle-stop tour of Screen Devon and what we've been up to. But I am ready for some questions if anybody has any.
Thank you, Claire. You can breathe now.
I was aware I had 5
fantastic.
minutes. So.
Oh, well, that's really good. And it is all about the networking, isn't it? And building those relationships with other organisations, which kind of links into what Maya was talking about as well, developing those relationships with artists and venues. And you're doing the same with crew and with other organisations that are developing those support areas for filming. Okay, yes, I've got several questions. Councillor Steve Gazzard first.
Oh, thank you, Ollie. Thank you very much for that report. It was very interesting. It's not a question; it's just a feedback, if you like. Yeah, the Bergerac filming in Exmouth was very interesting, and it did cause a lot of messages on Facebook, but yeah, we look forward to seeing that one as well. And also the dirt in the water, unfortunately I couldn't get to see it, but the feedback that people have said to me that they've been to see it is absolutely amazing. So that's two good things that have come out of what you've done. Thank you.
There's another screening of that at the Phoenix between Christmas and New Year, if you can make that. But yeah, they'll definitely be having a wider release in the spring, I think is their plan. So I recommend having a look at Joe in the Water. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Oh, that's great. I missed all that, Steve. I don't know where I was. Okay, Councillor Ian Barlow.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks for the presentation. Can you just tell me, so talking about Bergerac, fascinating. So did you bring Bergerac to Exmouth, or were they there and then our officers introduced you to them because they had problems finding bits and pieces? And the same for the ones in, what I'm trying to get at is, have you actually introduced, is your company or your organisation introduced people to East Devon or not?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think first, what's important to recognise is that the film industry works quite far ahead. So a lot of the productions, sometimes it takes 12 to 18 months for them. First of all, they'll scout for locations. They'll have their story, and then they'll spend a lot of time planning and plotting and seeing what's available. With Bergerac, because it's a TV series, works in blocks. So in the first instance, they were already here. And we connected with them, we reached out to them and said hi, and we were able to connect them with some local suppliers, local crew, and we were able to help forge those relationships that they needed. With their second block, we were able to help them identify areas that they wanted to film in. That was East Devon, Torbay, Plymouth, and we were able to help make those connections because East Devon already has a really great film office, 2 film officers who are able to kind of help with those permitting, but that stops with council owned land. So that's where we step in East Devon, so we can help connect with different building frontages that they need and things like that. With something like Treasure Island, that was last week, and then this week we've had the First World War production. So we have actively, what happens is we'll get a national inquiry that will come our way, and we'll build what we call a portfolio where we'll put locations based on those scouts' requirements and present them. And with the 2 titles that I mentioned, we were able to put forward several locations across East Devon for both of those. And that's now with the scout and the location managers who are just reviewing and deciding. Treasure Island, we get a feeling that they are especially keen to be in Devon. Whereas the First World War, I think that's a much broader pool that they're doing. So part of our work, we're going to an event called Focus next month, which is a really large industry event in London, where we'll be connecting directly with producers and location managers and putting forward Devon as a location. In the future, we hope that we'll be able to have a budget to have a stand there, and that will allow us to really put forward what Devon's about and what we have to offer. And as we are connecting with more and more locations, we've got a significant number now on our directory and database. But you can never be too prepared. There's some really bonkers things that we get asked for. So it's just a matter of being really mindful and aware of our locations, so we can reach out to people and be, hi, would you consider filming taking place? So there's work to do on that, and that's coming from all different angles. So hopefully that answers your question, Councillor Barlow.
Yeah, and one final question. Out of all the district councils in Devon, how many of them pay into the pot?
At the moment, we have got 4 district councils paying in, and we're just about to increase the ask for that for 26 to 27.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
No worries.
Okay, thank you for that, Ian. Councillor Paula Fernley.
Thank you. Great to see you again, Claire. I did manage to get to see the Joe in the Water, which I thoroughly enjoyed and was completely packed out and had drawn a huge amount of people to the Phoenix. So although it's not East Devon, it's still very local, isn't it? And there's a hell of a lot of East Devon people there.
It was all East Devon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
It was your talk. Talking about so many things. It's on your 2.5 days a week. It sounds like there's a hell of a lot going on in the organisation, which is really positive. I know from my local area, we've had the DIY SOS crew and the Harry Potter crew staying at our local hotel. So again, you know, we've got a new hotel in the area that we want to try and support as much as possible. So if activities that you are doing this, and then that's brilliant. So you mentioned DIY SOS, and I saw the Harry Potter thing on your paperwork. So how were you connected to those?
So the Brown Cat, which I have to call it, not the one you're calling it, is they came to us, they reached out to us, they'd established their locations, but we put forward a significant number of crew that were able to work on set and also connect them with different suppliers, drivers, hotels and things like that. And then DIY SOS, that was just a matter of us reaching out. We managed to get in touch with their production people and we just tracked that one because they were just dealing with private space. There wasn't very much they needed from us, but our role is to track all filming and all data for that, whether we're involved or not, because it's really important to recognise the impact of that filming, and nobody's been doing that before in Devon. And as you say, people stay in hotels. We know that a one-day production that took place in Plymouth led to £35,000 worth of hotel stays in that one day. So it's being able to understand that and the impact of welcoming more productions and getting places ready for that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and another question. There's another Screen Devon, which must be very difficult for you. What are they doing and why have we got two with the same name?
Yeah, we mentioned this a while ago. That's from a bit of a hangover from a previous board member. So that's something that our board and trustees are dealing with as we speak. And we're looking to make sure that that can be solved. The good news is that our website and comms are much more active. So people are finding us, and the more that we're out about reaching people, being present and visible, we're making sure that people are coming our way.
Fantastic, thank you. And can you pop your email in the chat so I can contact you if that's possible?
Yes, of course. Yeah, let's do that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Councillor Peter Faithful.
Yeah, I don't think it's really a question because I don't think you could answer it if I put it as that, but I'm aware that there's conversations in this budget, which we haven't had yet, about day tax or something, and I don't know whether that might have impact on whether I think there's all sorts of things that we're involved with today with this meeting, but I think it's something we might need to have a look at. And if it has happened, we seem to be getting an awful lot of bits and pieces of this budget before the budgets come around, so I'd be interested to see what happens.
Yeah, so day tax, did you say?
Yeah, that's what I think it was on the news last night or something, but yeah, I don't know what it's all about. How you tax people for a day visit or something. Yeah.
Oh, I see. So people come like a tourism point, how people come in. Right. Yeah, no, I don't know much about that, but that does sound interesting. Sounds
not helpful.
European. Okay, I'll look into that.
Yeah, it could be something like a tourism tax, Peter, that they're talking about, which can actually, not particularly helpful for the visitors, but can often do quite a lot to support a local area, particularly in kind of mitigating the effects of tourism and sometimes over tourism. Wendy, you've got your hand up. I'm wondering if you can shed some light on this.
No, I can't, I'm afraid. But I did want to say to Claire, that was really exciting to see all of that. It's amazing. Fantastic for Devon. And I wanted to ask specifically, I know that the Culture East Devon Forum shared a link initially to register for Crew, but could you repost that, please? And also I wondered if there was a link for location suggestions, because all of us, have explore the county, and I'm sure that there's some wonderful places that we can think of that we would be able to share with you.
A connection, like I said, you can never be too prepared. Yes, what I'll do with the locations at the moment, we're just doing that internally, so people are just reaching out to us via our email, which is working quite well for now while we build a better system. But I'll pop all of that in the chat after this.
Fantastic, thank you. And also, just to ask about Pip's film, Joe in the Water. I know after the you'll probably explore the initial cinema release first, and there's a very good East Devon cinema at the Beehive. But also just to say that there are quite a few village halls and communities that do now have very good setups in their village halls where Pip's film could be shared even wider. So that's something that I think we should bear in mind after the initial sort of cinema release. And I think there's a lot of people that would love to see it.
Great idea. It's a no-brainer. I'll definitely put that to him. Yeah, I think that would be wonderful. And it's so exciting to know that there's lots of village halls with cinema capabilities. I think that's a really important part of life. Thanks, Wendy.
Yeah, there are. In fact, there's quite a lot of film clubs. I've been to one in Budley and one in Lympstone that are quite well set up for film, and yeah, I think films with a local connection would be particularly interesting for them.
Definitely.
Okay, Councillor Hookway, Nick.
Yes, okay. Claire, thank you very much indeed for a very interesting presentation, and certainly plenty of evidence of growth in the economy there through culture. But I just wanted to ask you about your comment about the skills gap that Kate, you said at the end. I'm very interested to know exactly what that skills gap is. Are we talking about people in the creative sector, such as musicians or artists, or are we more thinking about the more sort of technical side of things, like electricians or electronics guys and so on? Because there has been a lot of discussion with educational establishments about what they're actually providing on the curriculum, and arts has taken quite a battering in recent times. So any evidence that we can pass down to education establishments and through the system at county would be really helpful, because we need as much evidence as possible to show that why certain subjects must be on the curriculum. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a really good question. Yeah, I've been working closely with Screen Cornwall on establishing some screen gaps and working with some BFI funded activity to identify that, and it's evolving. But things like, we're very much interested in film screen industry crew at this point, so looking at where there's gaps. For example, there aren't many people in Devon who have sound recording skills or credits on things like that, so we're trying to track and see why that might be. For a while we saw that there weren't many emerging producers in Devon, and we were able to address that by getting some BFI money and going through a Peninsula Producers scheme, where we were inviting emerging producers or those who are interested in becoming a producer to come and learn a bit more about that. But what we do know is that with film and screen industries, that skills are very transferable, and it's not just a matter of people coming in from a young age, but also from a slightly older age. For example, assistant directors some of the best assistant directors come from supermarket backgrounds or places where they're used to dealing with a lot of staff and a lot of people and working to a very strict timeline. So it's understanding what that looks like for Devon, and which point that Screen Devon can intercept the production plans and be able to put forward crew and say, look at all these amazing people that are here already that you'll be able to save money on for your production and spend elsewhere. So why not think about recruiting here? But yeah, we're getting a better feel for gaps, and that's something we're going to spend a bit of time looking at. So very happy to take that conversation further if that's useful.
Great, thanks so much indeed. Thank you, Chair. Yeah,
thanks, Claire. So do you have contacts with things like Exeter College that might be producing sound technicians. Yeah, you're nodding. so-
yeah, nice
I
reference
guess you're
to all
talking
that,
to them
yeah.
about what should be on their kind of offer as well in the kind of skills they should be offering young people. And if you can record sound, there's a whole wealth of different ways you could be working in film, in music studios and all sorts of things. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, don't see any more questions, so we can move on. And I think it's Sarah.
Sorry, Ollie, I've got one question for Claire.
Oh, sorry, Chloe.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
go ahead. Yeah,
No problem.
no.
Hi, Claire. Lovely to meet you, and thanks for the presentation. And it might be that we need to take this conversation offline, but I'm just kind of picking up on Councillor Barlow's point. So you mentioned that there's not been £9 million worth of spend via Screen Devon. So how does that come back to? What's the return model for us as investors, as it were? Not investors, that's the wrong word, but funders.
Yeah, so that's spend on everything from so the way that spend's calculated is through a format that Filming in England have designed. So that's what all film offices across the UK and England are using. So that tracks everything from the difference between a feature, a commercial, a high-end TV, or factual, or a short film, and it's tracked by calculating the amount of film days, the amount of crew, and it's an understanding. But you can go a little bit deeper depending on the relationship you have with the production, and you can understand what their spend was in terms of, like, did they use local scaffolders, did they use local tracking, all the things that maybe would have been used there. So it's the spend that's spread out across all those different aspects of production, and it's our job to make sure that spend is as much in Devon as possible and shared kind of fairly. So like I said, that relationship we have with suppliers is really important. We've been working really hard to understand where there are medics, where there are fire safety experts that we can put forward. There's a production at the moment on Dartmoor, a really big Hollywood feature film, and we've been able to put a significant amount of suppliers their way, which has been really, really great to see. And Sharon did a site visit yesterday and was delighted to see so many Devon-based logos and crew. Things that we need to crack a bit more is like caterers, but it's understanding what productions are expecting and how we can meet those expectations in Devon a little bit more. Hope that answers your question.
It does answer the beginning of it, but maybe we need to kind of pick up separately so that I can get a better understanding of the financial model, I think.
Sure.
I'll drop you a line.
Okay, brilliant.
Okay, that's great. Okay, more networking going on as we speak. Okay, next is Sarah Elgady, and she's right on the ball there. Thank you, Sarah. So you're going to talk about the cultural strategy progress and a budget request. So on you go.
Great, thank you, Ollie. So good morning, everybody. I'm trying to make it full screen, but there seems to be a bit of a delay. Hopefully it will, hope it will work soon. I'm conscious of time and that we haven't heard from Gemma at THG, so I'll whiz through my report. Hopefully you've had a chance to read it. So I lead on the delivery of this strategy, which launched in 2022, is a 10-year strategy, and we're about halfway in delivering it now. So the strategy can be found on our ACE website. ACE, as hopefully you all know, stands for Arts and Culture East Devon. The strategy is made up of 8 themes and 31 potential work programmes. 6 of these programmes have been completed, which you can view in item 1 of the report. And there's also an appendix you can view, which is a lot more detail on all the different strands of work programmes. That's in an Excel. All of this has been possible thanks to the funding from the UK Shared Prosperity Fund. So we've been able to focus in particular on this theme, strengthening and supporting the people that do. So delivering 23 training sessions altogether so far to the ACE network since 2023, recognising our volunteers at an annual ACE Volunteer of the Year award event, and also highlighting over 80 volunteering opportunities at cultural organisations on our ACE website. The other theme that we've made significant progress on is cultural tourism. That's been in collaboration with my colleague Jerry Pantiva, Senior Economic Development Officer, who's also on this call. And as you know, we created this wonderful East Devon cultural tourism map last year, with 50 key partners on, and there's a printed version as well as this digital version. And through PR activity, we've been able to share it in Devon Life this summer, as well as in the Guardian travel supplement, which felt like a real achievement. So the majority of the programmes in the strategy are still in development, as these are really longer term projects, which would be difficult to tick off as completed because of their ongoing nature. For example, protecting and enhancing the natural environment. There's so much activity going on around this theme across the district. For example, last week, THG held a climate conversation event. We are planning an arts and climate symposium. THG are working closely with East Devon National Landscapes on a nature cooling project. And through the Carbon Action Fund, that was also funded by the UK Shared Prosperity Fund, we've been able to give grants for decarbonising buildings in cultural venues, including Axminster Guildhall, the Beehive, Wimpole Museum and Fairlynch Museum. As you know, we did a pilot on decarbonising festivals with Exmouth Festival, and we've been sharing the learnings from that. And also a requirement of applying to the Creative East Devon Fund is how applicants align with our East Devon climate change strategy. So we've been able to support 8 projects who have linked with sustainability, including Tidelines in Exmouth, Sidmouth School of Art, Budley Literary Festival, and the Beehive's recent climate-themed exhibition called We Are All People of Power. In terms of creative enterprise and skills, as you heard, Screen Devon are doing so much work in that area. And we also have our ACE mentoring programme and have had 6 young people be paired with a mentor and provide pathways to employment that way. In terms of new places for culture, the revised Exmouth placemaking plan is currently under public consultation and should give a clear vision of local needs in the area. And we really want to be embedding access to culture in new spaces and new developments such as Mulcombe. And I would suggest setting up a cultural compact for key stakeholders and partners to lead on the strategy of that work, as recommended in the cultural strategy. We've recently supported Cranbrook with a Creative East Devon grant for a cultural heritage project called Stories of Us. So lots of activity going on in terms of connectivity. This is a picture of our recent ACE network meeting at the Dome in Exeter Science Park, which Councillor Fernie mentioned. It's a fantastic space. We had 39 attendees at our event in October. Claire spoke from Screen Devon, and we had an interesting talk on AI and creativity. And we continue to share monthly ACE newsletters for creatives to share funding opportunities. The recommendation for this report is that in light of the UK SPF funding coming to an end in March 2026, I asked for the forum to support a budget request for £37,500 to continue the delivery of the cultural strategy next financial year. Item 2 of the report shows a lot more detail on these areas of work, and you've heard from all of our brilliant partners this morning on all the amazing work that they're doing. So we want to continue the ACE network, so we need to maintain the website, which hosts our directory of over 200 creatives, continue the network meetings and deliver training opportunities. It would be brilliant to continue the Creative East Devon Fund. We've been able to allocate 42 small grants to date, and we recently allocated our round 3 projects. 11 grants went out. They're relatively small grants, but they may make a huge difference to local communities, happiness and well-being. I could do a whole separate presentation on the impact of all of those projects. I guess the main thing to highlight in terms of the Creative East Devon Fund is that all of the beneficiaries have to demonstrate how they are delivering the goals of the cultural strategy. So this is really one of the most effective ways of delivering on our strategy. We would love to continue supporting Villages in Action, particularly their new East Devon lead role. And so that is a request for a top up of £5,000 on their existing 10,000 contribution. Southwest Museums Development require an uplift of 8.8% to continue their vital work supporting our East Devon museums. And finally, Screen Devon, which honestly has barely got its feet off the ground. It's amazing to think that Claire and her officer have only been in post for less than a year, part-time, and have done all that incredible work that she showed you. And there's really a significant economic impact that you can read in item 6 of the report of the 2 recent films in East Devon. So the Bollywood film, there was an estimated £750,000 to the local area, and the Masters of the Universe film filmed at Biakoro Caves this summer, an estimated £3 million spent to the local area. Please let me know if you'd like me to go into any more detail on any areas of the report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. And we'll take some questions or observations, and then we'll go to a vote on putting that request forward or supporting that request, which I'm assuming will go to Cabinet. Yeah, I'm getting nods there. Okay, so do we have any questions for Sarah? Okay, Councillor Ian Barlow.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Sarah. As usual, brilliant. And I have no doubt the money that we spend locally and how that gets, what a difference it makes to small little community grants to actually get culture going in our area. I'm going to mention Screen Devon because I argued it last time when it was coming up. I think this is the 3rd time we'll be financing this, certainly the 2nd anyway, that I've been involved in. And touching on what Chloe was mentioning earlier, which I don't think was answered, but I know she's going to go back on that, is we were promised a return on this, that it was an investment to get it going. The website was going to be sorted, the location directory was going to be sorted. And I understand what you're saying about it's only been going for less than a year. But it was over a year, well over a year ago, when I first had the first, when we first talked about this. And I just wonder, that's a big chunk of your money. The films that came here anyway, from my understanding, weren't perhaps introduced by them at the beginning. Maybe they weren't even in existence then, I don't know. My point is that good value? Usually we get a report when we're spending money from the officers, breaking down exactly what they're doing, what we're delivering. Film Devon is another one that's out there. I just question again the amount of money and what we get in return for it. It's my job, and I apologise to the people here from that company. I just wonder if it is the best value for your money that will make the biggest difference. So there you go. That's my question to you.
Thank you. It is a very good question. It is a significant portion of our budget potentially, but I really, from a personal perspective, I genuinely do see the value of it. And if all the districts were to get behind this initiative, it would just increase the profile of Devon as a film-friendly location. And although the tangible results are still possibly a little bit vague at this point, and I do take your point about the leading, how many introductions are made that led to filming. But as Claire said, it's a long-term game. They're planning 2 years in advance. So perhaps Chloe can comment further. Thank you.
I'm happy to, unless Paula wants to come in ahead of me. Okay.
Yeah, I think perhaps answer Ian.
So I think that what we've seen through the presentations today is the unarguable point that actually the work that Screen Devon has contributed masses to the wider economy. Now, I'm coming at this fresh, so I don't fully understand the financial model of the company, but I think that we absolutely can see the benefit of the work that they're doing. And I guess the alternative question would be, how else would we resource this work? And I'm not sure that I'm sure that Screen Devon being able to kind of represent the county as a whole and us as a district is going to have much more benefit than we maybe have the capacity or resource to do on our own. And I think on that point, and it would cost us a lot more money to do that in-house. So that's the balance, I suppose.
Okay. Does that kind of answer your question, Ian? I mean, I would say, you know, you're a businessman. When you invest in something, you maybe don't expect a return in the first year. And I think it's a fair question, but I think what Screen Devon are doing in building up the pool of expertise of companies that can support those people coming to film it. It's not necessarily a matter of kind of dragging them over to East Devon to see what we're doing here, but making it attractive for them so that they can come here knowing that there will be technical support on hand, that there will be, you know, all the other support that they need in order to, you know, do their filming in the most efficient way. So I think it's a fair point, but we maybe need to kind of put it in context. Paula, are you on a similar question or something else?
Yes, no, it was on a similar point, really, that I know we had a presentation by some officers about the Bollywood film that happened at Sidmouth and Beer, and what great value for money that was. And that's true, and it's wonderful. But I think these things work in tandem. I think what Screen Devon are doing is much broader than what our officers can do, as is it Chloe? Sorry, was saying a minute ago.
Yes, exactly. That was my point. Yeah.
Yeah. So I, for one, absolutely support what they're doing, and I really do hope that we can cope with the budget for this, because I think it's early days, and I think maybe in a year's time, if the same questions haven't been answered, then we have to think again. But I think, you know, to give them another year would be silly not to.
Yeah, having worked in a music hub, I know we used to support organisations sometimes, and sometimes it was quite a long payback period. And I remember having a conversation with the person who was head of the service at one point, saying, I don't know whether to keep on doing this, but he said, we did fund a software program, and just at the point we decided we couldn't go on funding them anymore, they made a breakthrough, we stopped funding them, we didn't get the sort of the kind of freebies that they would have got otherwise, and they missed the opportunity, and other councils or arts hubs were then able to take advantage of this software that they developed. So sometimes it's a bit of a delicate balance in funding things. You think, yeah, you know, how much longer can we go on kind of pump priming? But sometimes you just have to wait for the payback. But I mean, it does look as though there's already been an uplift in the number of organisations coming to East Devon, and certainly the amount of money that they're putting into the economy, and hopefully that can only grow. So if we haven't got any more questions, we could
Chair,
you got Nick. Nick
oh
Hookway
yes,
waiting.
sorry Nick, right in the middle of my screen, that's why I couldn't see you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, yeah. I mean, we've you know, this is a good discussion we need to have. It's absolutely right that people question, are we doing best value? I actually think that we are. I think this is a sensible investment. Anything that promotes the district allows a development not only at the cultural level but also at the tourism level, I think is a smart move. I think we'd be very upset if we hadn't invested and other districts and other cities in Devon were getting film companies coming in and spending large amounts of money in a short period of time. I think that would be really a really big disappointment. I think there has been a good lift. It's in terms of culture and dealing with cultural activities, it's very much about confidence and also seeing the bigger picture and getting people involved. I think that's been very successful here. Certainly when I visited Beer and the production that was going on there on the beach in October, and seeing people in very lightly dressed costumes, I thought, well, they really were enthusiastic. They really did get stuck in. And the other thing I think is in terms of the tourism, bringing it's a very big generator for tourism. We absolutely need that because, as we are all aware as ward members, hospitality businesses have really been hammered and are having a very tough time at the moment. And this afternoon's budget, I don't think will do much to help them there. So I think what we're doing is a very sensible thing. We are working with our assets. We have some, as Claire has mentioned, and we've known before, we have some very talented people in the cultural sector who live in East Devon and the wider county, giving them jobs and also providing work for local people and in film production, I think is a very good thing. The other thing I will say, which is a benefit, is that people do like to come and see the places where films were located, were actually made. That tends to bring people in as well. There's lots of people who go and visit film location sites. So I think it's very positive. You have to look at the big picture, I think, but I think it is a good use of our income. Cabinet were quite happy with it, but obviously we need to go through the process of making sure that everybody's happy. But I think there is a very good case to argue for this spend.
Thank you, Nick. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a good case for spending money on the arts in terms of supporting the local economy. It has a huge influence, and particularly in terms of film, that is one of the biggest budget parts of the arts sector. So I see.
Can I
Yeah,
also
go on, Nick.
propose the recommendation, please?
Oh, that's a very good idea. And Councillor Steve Gazzard, you wanted to come in?
Yes, I was just going to say the same as Nick, Chair. I'm happy to second.
That would be great. Okay, in that case, we can proceed to a vote of members. So if members would like to raise their hands if they're in support of this going forwards, we can either do it. Alethea, are you happy with counting physical hands, or would you rather have electronic ones?
Electronic, please, because I can't see everybody on one page.
No, I've got that difficulty. That's what I was thinking. So if everybody could use their electronic hand, just as though they wished to speak, that also helpfully counts them for you. So if we can have all in favour of that going forwards.
It looks like 7 hands I've got.
Okay. And if you'd all like to lower your hands, which you can do with the same button, we'll have any against putting that budget request forward. And
Polly, you've still got your hand up. Is that a for or against? It's down now.
Okay, so any against? Can't see any abstentions. See one.
Yep, just one abstention.
Okay, so that's carried then. So that'll go forward to Cabinet, and obviously Sarah, I'll be very happy to come to Cabinet and put that forward as well, and support Nick in supporting that bid. I think, yeah, Steve has mentioned the hospitality industry, and I think it's a really good way of supporting that, and supporting tourism generally, and the visitor economy, through extending our arts and culture offer. Right, so we can now move on to last item on the agenda, and we should have Gemma from the Thelma Hulbert Gallery. I've got my mug, my THG mug. So
hopefully you can see my presentation and hopefully you can hear me.
We can, yeah,
Fabulous.
that's brilliant, Gemma.
I'm aware that I'm the last and aware of time. So like Sarah, I've submitted a report and a recommendation. So hopefully you've all had a chance to read that. Otherwise, that's available to read through in full. I just wanted to give a quick summary of this year. That's what's been going on at THG, because we've had a really successful year, and I just wanted to share some of the highlights. So this is the first year that's been my curated programme, so I'm very excited about that. So we kicked off between January and March with a refurb. So the gallery was closed, painted throughout, new fire doors that were very much needed, and then the kitchen and toilets were reconfigured. So we're looking even more professional. So if you've not had a chance to come over and see, please do come over. The first exhibition in March, and why is my slideshow not moving? Oh, there we go. Was Ashish Gadiali, which was, as you know, we have climate-focused exhibitions. Ashish is an artist and activist, and his work is very much focused on the climate emergency and racial justice. He's exhibited with The Box, RAM, South Coombe Barns, so we're really excited to have this exhibition and the engagement programme that went alongside. This was closely followed by James Virvilius, which we were really thrilled to have. It was borrowed from, loaned from the Burton in Bideford as part from the English Eye collection, which had 135 works as part of it. We exhibited 50 of those works. I don't know if you know James Virvilius. He was the son of Eric Virvilius, and he took these fantastic photographs in North Devon between about 1970 and 1990 of a rural farming life, that life that was dying out. And there were these really charming photographs that really resonated with our visitors. We knew it was going to be a popular exhibition, but we didn't quite realise how popular. So we think it's our highest attended exhibition for 10 years, maybe more. 42% of those were new visitors. We have increases to the website that doubled. I had to redo some of the maths on this. Our donations for the same period of time last year were up 444%, and our sales for the same period last year were up 314%. So really successful exhibition, and really shows that investment in a touring, or a big name is really worthwhile for the gallery. So fantastic feedback, like wonderful to see, just fabulous, pure enjoyment. So yeah, absolutely fantastic exhibition. And as I said, we only borrowed 50 of the works of 135, so potential to do a part 2 as it was so successful. This momentum carried on to our Open. We had the most entries that we've ever had to the Open, over 460 entries, and we showed more artworks than we ever have before, so over 100 artworks. Again, our sales were really great for this exhibition, so compared to the previous Open that was in 2023, our sales were up 50%. So again, really successful exhibition. Our next exhibition was Camp, which you can read through in the report because I'm just conscious of time. And then, we started our Present Makers exhibition on the 8th of November. Again, really well received. We had over 90 entries to the exhibition, and we are showing over 70 artists. and compared to the first 2 weeks sales of last year, we're up 5%. And bearing in mind we started a week earlier this year, yeah, it's boding well for that period. Yeah, for doing well. Just some other highlights. We have over 5,000 Instagram followers now. And then also to talk about our Arts Council funded project, our COS project, which is engaging with young people, so growing our youth network. Again, this is just highlights, you can read more in the report. Our Summer Art Weeks programme sold out. A lot of our engagement and workshops are selling out. And to date, this project has seen us engage with over 1,500 people across 7 different locations, 50 different events, including schools, workshops, community events, gallery workshops. So this really leads me really nicely into my recommendation. So our current Arts Council funding is due to run out, well, it was due to run out at the end of this year, but we've extended it because of the refurb to the end of March. But yeah, that's due to run out. So we're asking for support for our next funding application. Quite great that Simon came to speak to us today as well. So we're requesting, so the previous grant was for just under £30,000, and again we're requesting just under £30,000. And with this, we wish to enrich our exhibition programme by delivering ambitious engagement programme that benefits the wider East Devon community, including schools, and expanding our youth network. Develop our youth network to a region-wide platform that engages with young people, especially with those with school-related anxiety and those leaving the care system. We want to reframe those opportunities so they include live projects, build skills and confidence and pathways into creative industries. We want to expand our internship programme. We've had 2 interns so far, and we want to expand this to partnerships with Exeter College and again the care leaver system. And then we want to continue our focus on the climate emergency. Sarah touched on this with her presentation. So, you know, we deliver the Climate Conversations series. We want to develop this into a climate symposium along with the ACE network. So this will be a day to carve out space and time to inspire creatives to protect and enhance their natural environment. So with all of these points, it will just help us to focus on our priorities, which is equality, diversity and inclusion, addressing the climate emergency, supporting emerging artists, bringing renowned artists to rural communities, and this will just help us sustain and strengthen our reputation as punching above our weight in our region as a rural gallery. So yeah, that's it from me. If there's any questions or anything I can expand on, I'll just stop sharing now.
Thank you, Gemma. That's absolutely fantastic. And yeah, such a good gallery. And I don't think I've been since it was refurbished. So I shall look forward to that. Councillor Barlow, Ian.
Thank you, Chair. Excellent report. Excellent. I've been over several times. Love it over there. I think what you're doing is excellent. Again, I'm interested in the money. I do apologise. And while the gentleman's on from Art Council England, are we likely to get that grant, or is that got to wait 14 weeks? What happens if you don't get that grant? And on all your increases and the money you're bringing in, are we getting anywhere nearer to sort of sustainability? And I know it's a horrible thing in the art world, and I realise that at the end of the day, it's a difficult thing to do. But again, are we working towards that? I notice you're putting in for the same rather than more with inflation, etc. I also noticed the last bid was for 18 months. So is this for 18 months as well going forward? I'm just concerned, obviously, with LGR coming up. You know, where are we going to get this funding from in the future if we don't have support from Art England? Is it something that we're going to be able to stand on our own 2 feet in the future?
So first question, if we don't get the Arts Council funding, it will impact our engagement programme, but we will still be able to deliver the exhibition programme. The Arts Council funding very much enriches the engagement programme and what we can offer alongside and what we can offer to young people in schools. So that side of things will be impacted, but our in-house team and also the funding from East Devon District Council can fund a skeletal, can fund the programme, if you see what I mean, but the added extra we'll have to have a look at. There are other funding pots we can look at, smaller funding pots. We work quite closely with National Landscapes, and there's shared priorities with them. So there are other opportunities for funding as well if we don't get the Arts Council funding. With LGR, we're all concerned about that, and obviously the sustainability of the gallery. Chloe and I are working closely together and looking at opportunities for the gallery and how we can, there's a term, wash our own face, that gets talked about a lot, but we are looking at all those opportunities, and what we can do it's very serious to us as well, because it's the future of the gallery. We very much want to preserve that. So
Thanks very much.
Thank you,
I should be along to buy my Christmas presents fairly shortly.
Great. Look forward to seeing you.
I better get in before you then, Ian. Okay. Thank you, Gemma. That was excellent answer. And I think you probably wouldn't get the Arts Council funding if they thought it was just going to keep you afloat. It has to be for that extra bit of community engagement or outreach programs is what they're going to be looking for. So I think that's great to hear. And Ian, never apologize for talking about the money, because we need somebody who is willing to talk about the money and has their eye on treasury management. Okay. So Councillor Faithful first.
Thank you, Chair. But I missed the James Trevilius exhibition, which was a bit of a shame, and I hope you have another one. They used to be all along the main corridor of Wonford Hospital, but they don't seem to be there anymore. It's all rather boring in there now. But what I was wondering about, with all those people turning up, did we generate income from that exhibition?
Yes, so so I went through so donations were up 444% on the previous year, and then the sales were up 314% on the previous year.
Was that a response from James Trevilius?
That's from James Trevilius, so James Trevilius was between May and June, I believe. So for the previous year, those are the uplift from the previous year. So it certainly brought in income. So, and new visitors and supporters, and that momentum carried on until into the Open as well.
So if we can have exhibitions more like that, then we've got more chance of surviving.
But obviously those come with a cost as well. So but absolutely, totally worth getting those exhibitions and touring exhibitions.
Thanks.
I think it's the local connection as well is often attractive to people, isn't it? And you can't overrate those Trevilius photographs. It's tempting to think, well, he just went around taking photographs of interesting looking people, but you look at the composition of those and the way the backgrounds are chosen. Paul is far more qualified than I am to comment on this, but I look at a lot of art, and my dad was a visual artist, so I kind of understand there's a lot going on in those photographs, and they really repay looking at carefully. I love them. I just think they're fantastic, and I've got an Eric Trevilius print hanging in my living room, which I bought in Bristol. Love his work as well. Paula.
You've put me off my stroke, Ollie. Yes, thank you for your report. It's great what you're doing over at the THG, and I'm really supportive, particularly, it's great to make money, which obviously we need to do, but it's great to see all the climate action work that you're doing. I went to THG as part of Skillshare run by CAG Devon, and we got to see some interesting things and have a good use of the space upstairs. So yeah, it's great what you're doing. Yeah, that's pretty much all I want to say. Yeah, Ollie said it all about the Revilius exhibition, so I won't delay us any longer. Thank you.
Thanks, Paula. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I went to see the Richard Long exhibition as well, and that was fantastic too. And he combines sort of wonderful installations and photographs with an environmental message as well, which I think is wonderful. Okay, and Councillor Roy Collins. Hello, Roy.
Hello, thank you, Chair. I got 2 questions. I'd like to know how much the refurbishment has cost, and also LGR, Honiton Town Council, have been talking about taking over the gallery. Thank you.
I'm unsure about that, how much it costs for the refurbishment. I can find out and get back to you. That's our property services team dealt with that, so I'm unsure the cost of that. That's new. I don't know about Honiton Town Council wanting to take over the gallery. We have good connections with them, so it would be good to pick up that conversation directly. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Roy. Yeah, I mean, I think quite a lot of town and parish councils are kind of looking ahead to LGR and thinking who's going to take this on once we're under a unitary authority or several, or however it comes out. So those conversations definitely need to go on. And just to be ready, even if it transpires to be a different arrangement in the end.
Always be prepared.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, that's definitely the motto for LGR, I think. Councillor Hookway, Nick.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Yeah, thank you, Gemma, for the report. I think it was absolutely fascinating and well done for getting an increase in visitor numbers and also an increase in sales of 300%. That's something that that you've been working on for a number of years, and it's really good to see that. The the renovation of the gallery actually has made it look really good, and it really does have a feel of a gallery now rather than somebody's children house, and it is looking really nice, and it's safer, which is really important. I get very positive feedback whenever I go to the gallery, these exhibitions, from people who are very, very positive about what work you're doing, and that's really good. And I think with the LGR question, I think the real point is we must keep the gallery going, because I think it's doing really important work. In terms of your Arts Council bid, I think you have hit some very important targets there. I'm very pleased to see that you're going to be working with young people, and particularly those who are either in care or have just come out of care. That's going to go down very well indeed at County, where the work that they're doing there and the responsibilities they have. So I think it's a very worthwhile project, and I'm more than happy to propose the recommendations, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. That's excellent. There are 5 recommendations for those who don't have the agenda in front of them. So we're supporting a funding bid to the Arts Council to support the gallery to enrich the exhibition programme, and involving local schools and the youth network, develop the youth network into a region-wide platform, reframe opportunities for young people. So there's a lot of emphasis on young people here, as Nick said. Expand internship opportunities, same thing, young people, partnerships with Exeter College, and the support for care leavers, and continue the focus on the climate emergency, and a climate symposium. So we'll look forward to getting a date for that. So those 5 recommendations have been proposed by Nick. Do we have a seconder for those? Councillor Fernley, thank you, Paula. So all in favour, if we can use our electronic hands again.
Jay, you got 8 people or 8 hands at the moment.
Lovely. Okay, that's great. Do we have any against? We can all take our hands down again. Okay, and any abstentions? I don't think I see any, so I think that was fully supported, Gemma. So we'll get that bid into the Arts Council, and yeah, I think, as Nick said, it should be a very strong bid given the amount of support and the enrichment of the gallery programme that we're talking about. So that's fantastic. So I think that was our last item, and that brings our meeting to an end. We've had a lot of great presentations, a lot of great questions. I'd like to thank you all for attending. And if we can let Simon know, we appreciated him coming along and talking about the Arts Council as well. That would be good. So it just remains for me to say thank you all for coming, and have a good rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Chair.
Thank you.
See you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.